Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Geonosis Territory Battles is coming to a close for the very first time, and I have a lot of stuff I want to talk about in regards to Geonosis Territory Battles and my experiences, the things that have to be improved, just have to be improved with this Geonosis Territory Battles. And funny enough, difficulty is not really going to be one of those topics, except to the topic of tenacity, which we'll get to in a second. And also, we're going to be talking about how I think that we're going to be seeing a level cap increase very, very soon, which kind of pairs into our discussion of difficulty, which we'll save more towards the end of the video. So what I want to start off first is kind of show you the round, like just pretty much the summary of where my Geonosis Territory Battle ended at. As you can see, my guild, we have a guild power of 232 million. So we're one of those more above average guilds, probably like more like top 15%, maybe 10% guilds out there. And right now we got 25 stars in our Geonosis Territory Battle right here. And maybe we'll snag one more if we can try to get people to cross that 200 million threshold. Probably not going to happen, but by and all, I'm actually very happy where our guild left at. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we have to improve as a guild, but I think there's a lot of stuff mechanically that's going to be given to us over time to help improve the difficulty of this event, because one thing's for certain, this was an extremely difficult event, and I think that's a good thing because it's nice having content to work towards over time, because if this territory battle was beaten day one, it would get boring, it would get stale, and it's nice having something to shoot at for a guild, for a kind of a community cooperation type of thing for quite a while. So I don't expect Geonosis Territory Battles to be completely mastered for at least another 1 to 3 months. But overall, the experience was pretty exciting. Besides having my Treyas and whatnot be one-shotted by clone troopers, hopefully they get reworks to be hitting that much down the road. But overall, I really enjoyed the thematic aspect of this territory battle. I enjoyed a lot the comp missions, seeing a lot of these cool clone troopers go to town. I mean, it was really cool. The NPC standpoint was really amazing, and even the accolade battle. I mean, we're going to talk about the accolade battle in a bit in this video, but I want more type events, kind of like the accolade battle, where it's completely different. It's very thematic. You feel like you're in the moment of the battle of Geonosis. So things like this, artwork perspective and whatnot, it was top notch. It was a very fun experience overall. And again, the difficulty is kind of an enjoyable aspect because it's been a while since you're really challenged when you're at this end game content, because territory battles for Geonosis is supposed to be the end game of end game content. So it is kind of nice that the difficulty is there, but some of the difficulty I think is a bit unnecessary. One of my biggest complaints is a lot of these platoons are not worth the cost of investing in them. Droid Factory, I think it's garbage. The Droid Factor platoon bonus is pretty much garbage because these droids that you're getting as a result, we've gotten the B2 rocket trooper every single phase, and the only thing it did really was soak up damage. It did nothing else beyond it. Its damage wasn't really too impressive. The other problem is this barrage has a 5-turn cooldown for something that isn't really all that special. It rarely ever gets to inflict these debuffs. Like, the healing immunity would be nice, but it rarely ever happens because, as we'll talk about, the tenacity, I think it's just way too high. Carrie, when she was on the Escape podcast, she talked pretty extensively about how they want it to be a good trade-off where, you know, it sucks giving up your Darth Revan, but in exchange, they wanted to give you something that was useful. And granted, the Droid Factory platoon, I don't think it actually had a Darth Revan, but it had characters like Bastila Shan Fallen, Darth, Treya, and whatnot, and a couple other kind of important characters, HK-47. Oh, there was a Darth Revan right here, so there were a couple of Darth Revans kind of hiding in this platoon. And the problem is, you're giving up meta characters, and what you're getting in return, it's not good. The other platoon that I wasn't too crazy about, it was better than the Droid Factory one, the Hailfire tank. This one was a lot more useful, but the problem is with this, I mean, there's a lot of screenshots circulating around regarding this. The tenacity is just way too high for this territory battle mission. I understand they don't want potency to just completely override everything. Have a little bit of tenacity, have a little bit of all the crazy damage and giant health pools. That's totally fine. But the tenacity is way too high where it's kind of overriding the purposes of having this Hailfire tank. You call it in, it does some okay damage, but if everything's being resisted, it's not fun. When it does land, it's great. So it'd be great if our guild's going to invest in this, give us a platoon or give us an ability that can't be resisted and it's always going to work, because when it doesn't work, it feels like it was a waste of an opportunity and you're kind of sacrificing some people in your guild to sit out and not complete as many combat missions for something that in exchange isn't that good. And the other problem I have with this, which maybe would make it a bit more worth it, it's only granted to Separatists. If they took away that and have it be granted to everyone, it would be a lot more worth it then. That's not to say all all the platoons are bad. The plenty of platoons are very useful. It's really just Droid Factor and the Hailfire tank were two questionable ones, but the rest are good. The core ship was good. Metal Mayhem, I heard there was something wrong with it. It wasn't quite working. I can't completely confirm that. These are always important to turn off the enemy special abilities and unique, so these are useful, but really the two that were supposed to help you throughout the battle a bit more, Hailfire tank and the Droid Factory, were not useful, and I hear a lot of people considering in their guild not to invest in these for the next one. And if you guys at the studio really want us to enjoy the trade-off by giving up Darth Revan or Traya in exchange for an extra droid, it has to be a better trade-off. Right now, the trade-off is just not there. The two last issues that I have pertain to when you do some of these missions, you don't know what you're gonna get and like the final waves. Like, let's say you're bringing in bounty hunters, you're crossing your fingers, hoping you don't see Mace Windu, for example, because as you know with Mace Windu, he has that this party's over unique ability, which instantly defeats Jango Fett. So it would be nice if these combat missions, you kind of knew who you were going to expect. I mean, I understand the randomness is kind of part of the difficulty as well, but let's say you're bringing in General Grievous, you're banking on trying to get a lot of waves done, and you're running the Shock T and the Clone Troopers. That's going to be a problem for General Grievous because they get way too much retribution. Or probably the most significant one, it depends when you do your combat missions for ships. If you get the endurance with Mace Windu, you're fine. But if you go up against the negotiator, which you don't know, you're going to get one or the other. It's kind of randomized. It's going to be a very difficult battle up against the negotiator. So it'd be nice if it was more set in stone. You knew what you were going to be up against, so you can kind of maximize the usefulness of your roster. Because if you run into someone and it's not what you're hoping for, it could be bad. Again, that's not a big concern because that might be kind of part of the fun. Is just you go in, you don't know what you're going to expect, and who knows, you might run into a battle where General Kenobi or Shock T and Clone Troopers are going to be there, and you were hoping not to run into them. Now, kind of the last concern that I have is that I loved the Acklay special mission. It was a lot of fun, just from a thematic perspective. And I'm not even going to complain about the difficulty, because I'm sure we'll talk about this regarding difficulty towards the end a bit more. I'm sure we're going to get Geonosian rework soon in July to make this a little bit easier. But the problem is, it's a lot of effort for something that's not really all that worth it. I was expecting Wat Tambor shards to be tied to this mission, and instead it was tied over here, which is a little bit easier than the Acklay mission. We did both of them. If you haven't checked the videos, go ahead and check them out. I think they need to make this battle more worth it for the rewards. Maybe tie, like, every single time a Geonosis Territory battle comes in, you put a high gear piece in there for, like, stun cuffs, Carbantes, maybe some gear 12 finisher pieces, something to make it more incentivizing, because right now it's a fun experience, and the difficulty is going to be easier over time, I think, but overall, there's not too much bang for your buck for completing this very difficult mission, and you might get more bang for your buck by going and trying to completing the other missions with the Geonosians. So hopefully they add more farmable characters, better gear, maybe Zeta mats, I don't know, we're just getting wild. If there were Zeta mats in here and each completion equaled 1 Zeta mat, trust me, people would be really excited to go after this mission every single time Geonosis Territory Battles came around. I remember when Hoth Territory Battles came around, the developers, I believe said that they were planning on taking advantage of these kind of blank special missions and maybe add some stuff there. They never did fulfill that. Again, I remember, if I remember correctly, that they did say that. We just pretty much had just currency there, which is fine, but it would be nice if they maybe add other characters to farm or add gear pieces, Zeta, just other ability materials on special missions to make them a bit more interesting and just to kind of mix up the fun a bit more as the territory battle becomes more stale over time. And the first thing I want to bring up in regards to how this difficulty will be managed over time, let's think back to Hoth Territory Battles. What was one thing with Hoth Territory Battles that made it difficult? The Empire sucked, the Bounty Hunter sucked, and so many other dark side factions sucked. Expect more reworks happening soon, and the first one that kind of to bring up is the Geonosians. The developers confirmed it a while ago. Geonosians will be getting a rework, and with the login award being Geonosian Spy, we're going to see the Geonosians probably get the rest of their reworks for Sunfac, Pog of the Lesser, Geonosian Spy, Geonosian Soldier, and whatnot. So far, almost all of the Separatists got a rework except for the Geonosians, so I expect them to get it fairly soon. That's pretty much the only faction right now I can imagine they do a rework for Geonosis Territory Battles. That's kind of, I think, the last bit of reworked content they need to do for Darkside Geonosis. But the thing I think is really going to help out more is obviously going to be Gear 13. Gear 13 is the newest gear wall, and we see a lot of Gear 13 characters you're going to be fighting off in Geonosis Territory Battles. So Gear 13 is another one of those things that's going to help you improve in Geonosis Territory Battles over time and get more of those stars, because this is endgame content, and what's the most endgame thing right now? Gear 13. But the very last thing, the very last thing I think they're going to be introducing soon is going to be a level 90 increase. The last time we saw a level increase was August 2016, I believe. August 2016 is when we saw the last increase in the level cap, where it was right before the tank takedown raid was brought out. They brought out a level 85 increase, and level increases are one way of pushing the power of your characters and tackling newer and more difficult content. And I think with it being almost 3 years since a level cap increase, that's a long time. Was not expecting us to go that long. I'm almost certain that we're going to see probably at least a level 90 increase sometime in the near future to increase the power of our characters and get past these phases. Because even when Darth Revan is struggling with Darth Malik up against phase 4 things, there's got to be something. There's got to be something to improve upon the team's viability, and increasing the level cap is going to really jump up the power of some of these characters. Another thing they already kind of confirmed they're going to be doing soon is releasing new characters. As with everything, when the Rancor raid came out, it was difficult, but as they released new characters over time in general, made it a lot easier to deal with. AAT raid was the same thing. Once characters like BB-8 and Thrawn and Commander Luke and Han Solo were released, the AAT raid was so much easier, and the Sith raid too. It was hard at first, but over time, when you get new things like Jedi Knight Revan, Bastila Shan, Yoda reworked, the list goes on and on and on. New bounty hunters, the Sith raid became a lot more manageable too, where today it's a bit easier for guilds to tackle. I'm thinking Separatist Might is going to have the same exact thing. They already said they're going to be releasing new farmable characters soon, so probably they'll be releasing it inside of the new either the championship store. All right, and it looks like the rewards came in, so 25 stars. Looks like we got some good stuff. 600 crystals, 6,000 Mark II currency, 5,700 Mark I currency, a lot of Gear 12 pieces. We got some Gear 12 finisher pieces. Those are going to be important. We got some purple pieces. So looks like the distribution wasn't too bad here. These are all pieces. I mean, this I didn't need too much. Like, I mean, I'll let that one. I'll let this one slide. But there are some pieces, I believe, in the box that had some very unnecessary pieces, like Mark IV Carbonti should not be in Geonosis Territory Battle reward distributions. That's just my opinion. Would love to hear what you guys think. But overall, this is definitely a nice payout for 25 stars in this Geonosis Territory Battle. And this kind of gets me excited for hopefully better rewards down the road, because we still have 8 stars to improve upon. I'm sure probably every single one of these things are going to happen moving down the road to make Geonosis Battle a lot easier, and probably a year from now, we're going to be laughing at how easy the event is. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you did enjoy it. Comment down below on your thoughts. What do you think is going to come to make it easier? What would you do to improve Geonosis Territory Battles? Because it's important, because they're going to release light side territory battles, and the feedback they get now, it's important for them to implement it later. Be sure to subscribe so you're not missing a thing, and I'll talk to you guys very, very soon. Peace out, everyone.